Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm your Studio NPL photography and video production mentor, and today we're going to talk about one of the rules that is the most popular rule in photography and video production. The rule is the rule of thirds, and this rule is used to help create good compositions. It's also a really good rule to help you decide what to put inside your frame, inside the image. So how you use the rule of thirds? It's kind of simple actually. All you're doing is breaking your image, what's inside the frame, into 3 lines, 3 segments, basically thirds. You're also turning them into 9 squares. So where all these lines intersect, that's where your most important image is going to go. Your most important person, your most important object is going to go inside where the lines intersect. So the best way to envision it is like a tic-tac-toe frame. So you have the tic-tac-toe board in front of your image. And you look at what you're shooting and you think, what is the most important object in this scene? And you want to place it where the lines intersect. Why do you want to do that? Okay, so studies show that when someone is viewing an image, what they're doing is their eye automatically goes to where those lines intersect. So you want to create a pleasing composition by going along with how they're viewing. You don't want to fight how they're looking. So you want to put those important objects right where those lines intersect. Here are some examples to look at. You can see how they do it in film, and you can see how it's done in photography. It works for both. So when you're looking at what you want to take a picture of or what you want to include in your film, you already know what you're shooting, what's the most important thing that you're trying to get across to your audience. So once you put that where those lines intersect, then you can start thinking where the other items can go, and this helps you eliminate objects that aren't even important to your scene. The rule of thirds works no matter what you're taking a picture of. If you're doing a portrait, then you want to make sure that the eyes of the person that you're photographing goes right across the top of the 3 lines. If you're doing a documentary or even a newscast where you need to identify someone, then that's when their name, their occupation goes on what they call the lower third. So you're always constantly using the rule of thirds when you're shooting, whether in video or photography. A lot of cameras, your DSLR or your smartphones, have a grid that you can turn on to kind of help you start practicing on using the rule of thirds. Once you start doing this on a regular basis, you're not even going to need that grid. Your mind is going to automatically start placing your objects at the place of where the lines intersect, those important points. So I want to go ahead and give you 3 activities that will help you practice with the rule of thirds. The first activity is to find something in your home to photograph. Now, it can be whatever you want as long as you have the ability to get near it and far away. And you're going to photograph it in 3 different ways. A close-up shot, a medium shot, and the wide shot, also known as the long shot. And each time you photograph it in these different ways, you're going to think about the rule of thirds. You already know what your object is, you picked it, so you know that's going to be the most important object. Think about placing it where the lines intersect and then look around and see, is there another important object that should be in another intersection line? Or do you want to kind of remove objects? Again, the rule of thirds, a great way to help you decide what goes in your frame and what leaves your frame. Okay, so once you've practiced that, let's try a second activity, portraits. Now, if you're doing a portrait of someone, pick a family member or a friend, and you're doing a portrait, the one thing to think about when portraits is to include something that's important to that person. It's not just a picture of that person, it's showing a bit of their personality. So I want you to think of including something that represents that person in your shot. And then you're going to have to include that object plus the person and decide how to set it up, thinking about the rule of thirds. And then the final activity is a movie night, right? We all love movie nights right now. So think about what movie you're going to watch your movie, but while you're watching your movie, the activity is to pay attention. Are they using the rule of thirds? Which I'm telling you they are. But when are they using it? Start noticing it, start looking for it. And it'll really help you start thinking, wow, they really are using the rule of thirds in every shot or almost every shot. If they're not, think about why they're not. You know that saying, you have to know the rules to break the rules. So if they're breaking the rule, then they're trying to make you uncomfortable, uneasy, they're forcing you to look somewhere else. So think about that when you're watching your movie. All right, so that's the rule of thirds. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments. If you do practice these, I'd love to see your shots. You can upload them, #StudioNPL, or feel free to email them to studionplnashville@gmail.com.